my name is Dan Hirsch, and I'm one of the co-founders of DataOwl. I'm going to give you guys an update to the data I shared with you last week about what's happening with the cannabis consumer in light of coronavirus. In particular, we're focusing on how the cannabis consumer is behaving after the surge. Following the surge in most states, we're seeing sales levels really stabilize at levels that are relatively consistent with the pre-coronavirus daily average sales or weekly average sales they were seeing. This chart, the yellow bar, shows you what happened in the first week post-surge, 23rd through the 29th of March, and the blue bar shows you what happened in March 30th through April 5th. As you can see, Arizona, New York, Illinois, and California have seen levels that are pretty close to, or even in some cases a little above, their weekly averages for January and February 2020. Florida, Massachusetts, and Nevada have behaved a little bit differently. Nevada has been dramatically impacted by the end of tourism, which is a key part of their market. Massachusetts saw on March 24th the closing of their recreational dispensaries. And so the blue bar really showed the drop-off and the full effect of that, because you had a partial week with recreational sales going on in the week of the 23rd to the 29th. And Florida also bucked the trend a little bit with a bigger drop-off this second week, but we believe that's related in part to the stay-home order that the governor issued on April 1st in Florida. Overall, when you mix all these markets together, what we're seeing is sales only down about 5% total versus pre-coronavirus levels. But the behaviors of customers have changed in other ways as well. Historically, cannabis customers really shopped heavily on Fridays and Saturdays. And so you're looking at a chart showing you the sales day by day in January and February, kind of those average daily sales levels. Here's what we're seeing now. The blue bar represents the week of the 23rd through the 29th, and the yellow bar shows you what happened the week of the 30th through April 5th. The gray bar is showing you the average prior. And so what you're really seeing here is a serious shift with a much greater percentage of your weekly sales happening Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all of them are at levels well in excess of what they saw pre-coronavirus in January and February. And of course, a corresponding drop Friday, Saturday, and Sunday week over the historic averages as well. Again, customers really have shifted the day of week buying. They're shopping a bit more evenly across the total week. The other change we're seeing is really around transaction value and number of transactions. As you'd expect, the number of daily transactions has dropped, but it's been offset by an increased revenue per transaction. Thus, revenue overall hasn't declined to the extent that some were expecting. The interesting thing is it also correlates with when all the dispensaries were forced to go online. And it really reinforces behaviors we saw pre-coronavirus, which is in this industry, ticket values tend to be a bit bigger when they shopped online than when they shopped in store. We believe that's in part because customers, in fact, are quite well educated, in particular in things like medical markets. And it's really inconsistent with even recent messaging from the Motley Fool. On April 5th, they posted an article where they anticipate smaller tickets per sale because consumers can't browse in store. It's consistent with an article written in March of 19 about general retail behaviors, where Forbes found that in most retail industries, in fact, e-commerce shoppers spend a little bit less than in-store shoppers. But you can really see it here, especially this chart on the right, where you get a close-up view of March 23rd through April 5th. And what you can see is a strong stabilization with tickets roughly 30% higher in value than what they saw pre-coronavirus. In the end, lots of challenges ahead with this, with the changing landscape. But one of the things we know for sure is there's a few key tools to success. Make sure your e-commerce house is in good shape. Make sure you're using things like targeted text messaging to keep your customers engaged and let them know what you have available. Use loyalty tools to reward the new behaviors and reward them well, because you really want to keep your customers coming back in these times. And lastly, we've introduced a new tool to help you manage the flow of traffic into your dispensary from the parking lot, where your customers can check in online. If you're interested, reach out. We can tell you a lot about what's happening in the marketplace and maybe help you improve your dispensary operations. Look forward to giving you guys an update again next week.